Hi, it's Ann. Thanks for stopping by. This is a really, really fun little pocket gizmo that we're going to work on today. I first saw the idea for this recently on Tina's channel, Shabby Dappy Doodah. She was having a cleanup project where she was sorting through things that had piled up on her desk, and this was, she had several of these partially finished pocket fold things that were that she completed. It was really fun to watch her sort through all of those things and get herself organized. So she didn't spend a lot of time talking about how she constructed this, but I caught enough of a glimpse of it that I think I could figure it out, because it occurred to me how versatile something like this would be. I have it decorated all the way around. It's just one long tube of paper, but it has the tags inserted. And I just thought it was really fun because it started. I started realizing how many different ways I could use something like this. My first thought was to stitch it in a signature. So here's an example. Here's a stack of papers that will one day be a signature, and I would just position it right in the middle. If I felt like it was a little bit long, it would be easy to trim it down, and I would just open it up and put that in there and make certain it was securely in place. I would probably do a 5-hole pamphlet stitch for this so that I would catch the breadth of the paper there. So I'd have holes here, 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 and here, if that makes sense. And look how nice that would be, just flipping through a journal and find this little thing that is so nicely decorated front and back and has a tag insert. Stitched into a signature, I think, is a great way to use this little insert, this little thing. But it certainly isn't the only way. I figured out, I think, like 8 different ways. Here's just a regular mailing envelope, just a little bit larger than the card size I usually use. But look how nice that would be to tuck into an envelope and pop a couple of stamps on it and send it off to a friend or a loved one in happy mail. Either for them to use in a journal or as a keepsake, or maybe you write sweet things to them on some of these tags. Probably would need a little extra postage, but really, really nice to use for happy mail. What about if we used it for a flip out? Let's find a blank page here, and I would probably, well, you can do it either way. You wouldn't have to decorate it on the back if you were gluing it into a journal like that, but it could flip this way. You could do it this way and it could flip out. You could do it this way and it could flip down. There's all different kinds of ways that you could orient this in a journal to be a permanent part of that journal. If you didn't feel like gluing it down, you could just clip it on. Just grab a nice big paper clip and it just clips in there as a nice little addition. What about if you wanted to slip it under a belly band? Here's a belly band. That would just be delightful. And I think I would probably tilt it a little bit so that my fluffy ribbons would be sticking out this way. Putting in a pocket, those are just all sort of obvious things that just would make it a really nice addition to a journal. What about if you made this a little journal itself? Let's pull this in. Here's just a stack of little papers, and I could stitch this little signature right into that spine and have a sweet little mini journal. Wouldn't that be fun? It would just be so easy to do, and it wouldn't need to have many pages. It could be a really, really nice little keepsake. And the thing that Tina said she likes to do with these, and I thought this was a really great idea and would eliminate some of the decorating, is what if you're, you open it this way and just cut it in half, and then you would have this piece as a pocket to put onto a journal page. Just like that, and another one like that, with your tag all in there. What a fun idea. Anyway, that's the versatility of this piece. Then I started thinking, because I think I'm dangerous when I get to thinking, I liked how I could do this with really, really limited supplies to keep the design cohesive all the way through. So that's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to bring in just a very few supplies. If you're just getting started with junk journaling, or maybe you're traveling and you want to take a few supplies with you, you're going over to a friend's house for the afternoon because you're going to be crafting together. Just take a few things with you and you have everything you need to make this super, super little pocket insert. I guess that's what I'll call it. And yeah, let's look at how we can do this using just a few supplies. And I'm going to challenge myself to not get into all of my other drawers and bins of things. I've gathered a few things that I think are going to really serve me well in making this. The first thing, if you want to do it in this challenge, this limited supply way, you're going to need 2 pieces of, in this case, I'm using coffee dyed paper. This is just coffee dyed plain copy paper, and this is a lesson plan sheet. I brought in 2 because I wanted them to be different, and we're going to be using this to construct the pockets themselves and the backing on the tags. So anyway, this is your main infrastructure. I brought in, for decorating purposes, just a few pieces. This is packaging, packing paper that I've spattered with a little white gesso. And for decorative purposes, I have 2 digital sheets. You know, I do not use many digital sheets, but I decided I needed to start using the few that I do have. And this is one, as you can see, Digital Printable by Louisa Heinzel. I think it's been a couple of years since I've downloaded and had this printed. You could also, I think a calendar would be a really nice use for decorating something like this. The idea is, my idea, like I had with this, I happen to have a bunch of strawberry themed embellishments, and so I used just strawberries for this. Even the little bit of washi tape that I used here on these tags kind of looked like strawberry markings. And I found it was just really, really easy and fast to make the whole thing when I was limited in my supplies. So I have just 2 of these. I have some more from this collection that are off to the side that I could dig into, but I really am going to try to just limit myself to and I might not even use this background page. So that's my goal anyway. So we've got our paper for backing our tags, making our pockets. We have 2 pages, sort of a neutral background, and a decorative sheet. In addition, I'm bringing in a little piece of sari silk. I'm bringing in a stencil. I have, of course, my distress ink and my blender, my glues. This you've seen. And rather than going through my scrap bin and pulling out lots of varied bits and pieces of paper, I just brought in a whole book. Obviously, I'm going to be using just a little bit out of this book, but I was trying to think of something that would be easy to transport, didn't create a huge mess on the desk. And this is an old novel from 1934 that does not have any problematic situations. It's a girl detective novel. Apparently, the Judy Bolton mysteries were very big in the mid-19th century. So, or mid-20th century, I guess that would be. And anyway, Judy Bolton never reached the wild popularity of Nancy Drew, but Judy Bolton was popular in her day. Girl detective, she solves crimes. I don't know, it's kind of funny. But anyway, I picked this up at the thrift store, and we're just going to use this for our book page decoration. So let's just go ahead and get started. That's all I'm going to use. Got 2 different kinds of glue. I think I want to have my pocket be made out of just this standard piece of coffee dyed paper. So what I'm going to do is to mark the middle of each 8.5. This is 8.5 by 11 with a fold, and I'm going to bring one edge out to be just past that fold, because I want to have an overlap as I make this tube. I think I want to have this be on the inside. That's okay, I can recreate that fold right here. This is a more attractive coffee dyed side, this right here. And the other way, I'm going to overlap just a little bit. I think that'll be okay. There we go. Now, on each end, I'm going to fold, move my glue here. On each flap, I'm going to fold down like this, because this is where we're going to be creating that opening for the pocket. Again, I know this is the type of thing that we often see, but I don't know, there was just something about this one that just seemed really special to me. Maybe it was because I just enjoy Tina and her channel so much, and I was really enjoying her cleanup series. I'm just going to use a little glue stick and glue those little flaps down. So there's no waste at all in the making of the pocket infrastructure. And what's nice about folding these edges down is that you have a little extra strength at the edge of those pockets. Yes, Judy Bolton, until I bought that book. Never heard of Judy. Looked her up online. She was, while she was not as popular as Nancy Drew, apparently many critics back in the day thought she was more realistic than Nancy Drew. So, you know, Judy had her fans out there. All right, before I glue this tube down, I am going to ink with my vintage photo distress ink. I have to the side here a couple of stamps, but I don't think I'm going to be using any stamps. I really am going to try to keep this very limited. For one thing, it makes it easier too if you use just a few supplies, because you don't get into decision fatigue. I'm going to have this on top. I'm going to be covering a lot of this, so I'm not worried too much about the inking. There we go. Now, before I glue it shut, I am going to put some book page in here. So here is where Judy Bolton comes to the rescue. And what do we have here? What you doing, Judy? What kind of mystery are you solving today? I think I can get by with just one sheet here. Yes, I can. All right. I'm going to pull off this margin here. That might do it. Is that going to be... Yeah, that's going to be just fine. And I'm going to pull off the top margin. And hope that I got in this deep enough so it covers the opening. Yeah, that's going to be fine. And this is also going to be fine. Okay. Yeah, I just love junk journal elements that can be many things. It gives you so many options. It's funny, I'm wanting to limit my options in the construction of this, but I sure like having lots of options once I have it done. This is just a tiny bit short here, but because this is coffee dyed on the inside, it's barely going to show. So I am not too worried about that. There we go. Yeah, are you familiar with the Judy Bolton mysteries, or maybe you were a Nancy Drew fan? I used to borrow my cousin's Nancy Drew books. I think I got one maybe for a birthday gift one time. We had lots of books at home, but for some reason Nancy Drew wasn't part of our family library collection. I have one, I think it was called like the Mystery of the Old Clock or something. I'm ready to close my my tube, and we'll have our pocket structure. So I'm just going to put a little bead of art glitter glue along this downward facing edge and along the top of this upward facing edge. And that way it's securely glued. Yeah, so my cousins seem to have more of the Nancy Drew books, but I was always at their house, and it was always okay to borrow books. I had a lot of book collections. The main one being Anne of Green Gables, so no surprise there. Anne with an E. Also went to the library really a lot, so that was probably where the majority of my reading came from, was the library. Oh, this feels so good. What is it about coffee dyed paper that just feels good? That coffee and the moisture just rumples the texture just enough. All right, let's fold this little beastie and get that as even as I can. And because it's only 2 thicknesses of that coffee copy paper down at this end, it's not too troublesome or too crumpledy. There we go. Now, guess what? We can decorate. There we go. All right. We're going to have to bring in more of Judy here. So Judy waited for a moment in silence. And let's get another one out here. Should we do the cover first? We know are gonna want to have some book page. Let me grab my scissors. And I think I'm gonna pause and come back, because it's not very interesting for you to, watch me cut all these little things apart. So I think I'm going to come back when I have disassembled this a little bit, and then we'll get right on it. Okay, I have cut apart all those different little decorative elements on that one sheet of the Louisa Heinzel printout. I have taken the margins off of several of our Judy Bolton pages, and boy, that Judy gets herself into some scrapes. Sometimes I get to looking at some of the books that I take apart for junk journaling, and I get ridiculously invested in the storylines. Anyway, this is one I probably should have read all the way through just to enjoy it before I started taking apart, but that's okay. I see these every once in a while in the thrift store, so I'll buy another one sometime and get to know Judy before I put her into a journal. I think the first thing I'm going to do is just do a little light stenciling here, and let me see. I need a little bit of a mask to insert in here. I guess I can use the back of one of these Judy pages. And I'm just going to do a little, I'm going to be covering up a lot of these, but I want a little preemptive stenciling. And I decided I'm going, you know, since I was sort of inspired by Tina with this project, I'm going to take a tip from one of her, you know, her mass making sessions and kind of do a little bit of an assembly line approach in decorating here. You know, we're not creating lots of different elements, but we have a lot of different surfaces to decorate. And so, you know, when it's time to stencil, I'm going to do, I think, all the stenciling. All right, ended up being able to eyeball that enough. I didn't really need the mask. I think of all my stencils, this little pin dot or polka dot stencil is the one that I use the most. That and the piece of punchinella that Julie Torrens sent me last year. That was a new supply to me. I think I'm wearing out my little sponge on this blender tool, but nice thing about these plastic stencils is that they wash really easily. I'll just soak this with a little bit of soap, and that'll come out nicely. Get a little more of that ink showing through here, even though I might be completely covering it up. That's going to be fine. There we go. Now, let's just put all four of these surfaces are not going to look the same because, you know, each one is going to be handmade, but I'm going to be able to very easily get them started. So I'm going to take some of these Judy pages that I have cut off or cut the margins off of. And I want to get a little book page on each corner. And let's do that, and then we're going to do kind of the same thing on the other surfaces. And I want to save our colorful pieces for the main focal points. I will do the edges again once we're done. There we go. Do the same thing over here. Might as well use the same process. Not that we are in any kind of a race, but sometimes if we're doing something that has a lot of repetitive tasks, it's nice, and I think it's good for our creative process if we don't get don't get too submerged in doing the same thing over and over. When this is, as you can see, just a little bit of collaging that I'm doing here, and I'm keeping my book page that I'm gluing on here. I'm keeping it just a little bit away from that center fold. That's why I didn't glue it over that fold, because I don't want to bind up the flexibility of that fold. Makes sense, I guess. And we'll need another little piece of book page, and we might as well use this one. I do like a little bit of a distressed edge on these old book pages. This book was in really good shape too. I was glad to have found it. It has an old feel. It tears nicely. There's a thickness to the pages, but it's not as, I wouldn't call it fragile or brittle. It's old, you know, it's going to crack if I demand too much of it. But it also has some integrity. So here's this whole side. Sometimes these small spaces, you know, that we decorate, they can kind of take a while to do. And yeah, I like having that stenciling showing through. I'm glad I did that. This is what I want to do on the inside. I want to put 2 pockets here. I want to make this even more pockety than it was to begin with. So let's just use some of our Judy pages here. And I think I'm going to, well, we're going to see how well they can fold. Oh wait, I cut these. Yeah, I think I'm going to use these so that I can have the print, the text be mirroring the direction of the fold. There we go. I think these will be the right width. Yeah, that's close enough. Okay, that's got a little bit of a smudge on it, so I'm going to fold this over. And I do have a little bit of cracking there, but I'm okay with that because I'm going to glue that down. I'm doing that just to give a little more strength to the edge of that pocket. And the glue will help to strengthen it as well. I like using the same book all the way through because this one is just so much fun to read little, you know, little snippets of, little bits and pieces of, that it's fun to have that sprinkled throughout the whole project. So let's ink those edges. Yeah, there's our doubled up edge. Yeah, when I was making the little strawberry one, it occurred to me when I was decorating the inside, golly, why don't I just put another pocket on the inside? So this is actually a quadruple pocket project, which especially I think if you're sending it in Happy Mail, how nice to have four little pockets, 4 little tags in there, 4 little spots to send fun things to people that you care about, or partners in a swap. Maybe it's somebody you don't even know yet. I haven't done too many craft swaps. Those I have done, I've really enjoyed. I've met some very nice people. And by swap, I mean, you know, those great big group swaps. My friend Julie and I have certainly swapped supplies before. But I think it's only been a couple of times I've done craft swaps that were, you know, when 25 people get involved, and I'm hoping this is going to be strong enough for a little pocket. I think it will. One thing I could have done if I was really worried about the brittleness of the paper is I could have just adhered to the whole book page to a sturdier substrate, and that would have given it strength. But I think for this one, I think we're going to be okay. You will be the judge. Yeah, I did a swap last summer of artists trading cards. That was kind of fun. That's never really been my thing before, but I enjoyed doing that. All right, now we have our book page throughout. We have our stenciling in the background. Let's bring in a little color. Do a little color commentary here. Make sure I'm, yeah, I guess I'm in frame. I'm gonna grab a sip of coffee. And this is possibly our most decorative piece here, so why don't we kind of consider that on the cover. I could put the whole thing down, but I want to harvest, I think, this little piece of artwork. I think when Louisa made these digitals, she clearly did some sort of a big collage, like a masterboard or something, and then scanned that. So, you know, it made for a pretty dandy digital. How is that going to fit there? I want to snip a little bit off. Take a little bit off of that top and bottom, and I'm keeping all of these little bits because, well, this is better cut. I could use them afterwards. I think I'm just going to put that right down the middle. But I see, there's some reference that Judy has to going to die there. That's, I don't want anything really unsettling there. We'll just have Judy focused on non-lethal mysteries. So I'm gonna tear off a little bit of this packaging paper, and we're going to just do a little collaging there, and then I'll put the decorative piece on top. Yeah, and I chose this brown paper one. It went, you know, with the brown background of Louisa's digitals, but I also spattered it with gesso because she had done that on her originals as well. There's a fair amount of spattering there that I really like, or maybe it's stenciling with the. Okay, let me just for balance bring in another little piece of our packing paper. Go. Okay, so we're getting close to Super Bowl weekend. In the US, that's a big thing. I don't know if other countries pay attention to our Super Bowl. I mean, I barely pay attention to our Super Bowl, so I'm not expecting anybody elsewhere to even know that there is such a thing as the Super Bowl. But I think that'll be fine. But you know, again, Dan is, as I've mentioned before, he's a Denver Broncos fan, and they're not in the Super Bowl this year. I laughed. I guess it's, Philadelphia and Kansas City playing this year. Do you know what? I think I need a little bit of color here, and I think I'm going to bring in a little piece of this sari silk because I want this for my tags, but I also want just a little bit of additional color on the front here. So I'm going to lift this again. If this paste hasn't dried. There we go. Nope, still a fair amount of moisture in there. Anyway, back to the Super Bowl. So I chuckled because, you know, it's impossible not to be aware that it's going on. I always joke and call it sports ball. But anyway, my niece's family, my niece and her husband, are big Philadelphia Eagles fans, so that's big in their family. But the teenage girls, my great nieces, are also big Taylor Swift fans. And Taylor's boyfriend is playing for Kansas City, who is, they are the defending champions. So Philadelphia against Kansas City, their family beloved team against Taylor Swift's boyfriend. Oh, what are they going to do? I think Philadelphia will win out in their family loyalty. Here I am peeling this up again. I feel kind of bad about doing that. Just that little bit of sari silk is going to add a nice little bit of color there. And it's going to look like I intended to do that. There we go. Yeah, I like that a lot. I think that's simple, but there's a nice little bit of pastel color there. All right, let's get to decorating the rest. So we have little bits of packing paper that we can add in. Let me bring in some more to be at the ready for that. Our book page with Judy is in place, and we're just going to add some more of Louise's colorful stuff. Let's do the back. What do we have that could kind of be an anchor piece? I think I used the best one for the cover, but this one is kind of nice. That one is kind of nice. So let's ground it with some of our packing paper. And another little piece here. And I think I'm not going to use any of the sari silk on the back. The glue stick will do just fine. There we go. And yeah, while there's not a whole lot of stenciling showing, I'm really glad that it's there. It keeps the background from being too plain. Balance that out in this corner. It's kind of amazing what you can get by with when you restrict yourself to just a few supplies. And I think sometimes it's a good idea to do this if you're in a creative slump and you think, oh gosh, what's wrong with me? I have this whole room full of supplies and I can't think of anything to do. I can't make decisions on how to decorate this thing. I think if you restrict your choices, it can become a lot easier. I have a whole bunch of different, twines and fabrics and a whole cabinet full of fabrics that I could have used to add this little, a little bit of color, to a little bit of texture to the front here. But it was just easier when I knew that this was the only piece of, fibrous material that I had. I just cut off a little snippet of that. And, that's, it's subtle, but it's nice. It's fine. It's even translucent. I can read Judy through there. So anyway, sometimes narrowing your choices, I think, is just a really good idea. All right, there we've got our inside pieces. This almost could be done, but I think I do want, I want to add a little bit of color there. So this little piece that I've cut off, I can use, and I'm going to have those mirror each other. Well, I'm going to cut it. I want that a little more straight. And split this down the middle so we have a couple of little, oh good, that tore. That makes a nice little bit of drama. And I will ink those edges. So that gives us a little bit of decor there. And again, just a little glue stick. Will make all of our adhesive dreams come true. There we go. So our next step is going to be making our tags to go in there. So let's start with the big tags. And here's what I would like to do to make these tags also fast to make. Oh, precious little scraps. I may use all of them on the taggage. Okay, let's go back. I'm not going to set this aside too far because I want to be able to fit my tags in there. I just think this is really cute. And I think of how many places that I can use this. You know, it's not bursting with color. It's not gaudy, but I just think it's sweet. Let's finish it. All right, this is how we're going to make our tags. We're going to bring Judy back into service here. And I'm going to take, because this is a pretty good size, I think, we'll check it shortly. Yeah, see that's crackling here, but that's okay. We're going to be strengthening this paper. Judy's been working hard solving crime since 1934. She's entitled to get a little brittle, a little fragile. I'm going to use this. Yeah, that's gonna fit. I thought it would. Yeah, we're gonna use this Judy piece as the to make our tags out of. All right, this gets set aside. Here's our 2 Judy pieces, and we're going to strengthen her Judy pieces, book pages. I'm getting so attached to Judy. We have a few viewers who are named Judith, and I have a friend named Judith who never goes by Judy. She was Judy when she was a kid, but as a grown-up she is Judith. And I am wondering if our Judith viewers are the same. There we go. All right, there's our 2 tags. Now we're going to bring in our other piece of coffee dyed paper. In this case, it's an old lesson plan that I have coffee dyed. And there we go. Yeah, this is going to be just fine. I'm going to turn it around this way though. I am going to encase the edge of this. We're going to be creating the backs. So I'm going to glue down the whole thing, but I want to come up a little bit from the bottom, and I want to have some sticking off to the side. By some, I mean my backing page. This is going to become clear in a moment. This is going to be the back. That's what we're doing right now. And I think I'm just going to come all the way over to this edge. And because we've glued these shut, it doesn't really matter which one is along the edge, but this excess that we have sticking off to one side is going to wrap around and encase the edge. And I think I'm going to have this one going all the way over here. And this is, I've done this before with junk mail envelopes, and I really like using that technique. I haven't used it for a while, but I come in here a little bit. That glue stick has added a little bit of moisture, so these are going to kind of be curling. All right, and I like a torn edge here, so I'm going to tear down the middle, if I can do so without it getting, I like it a little bit jaggedy, but I don't want it going full tilt on me. But you know, I guess we'll get what we get. All right, now fold this up. This is now going to be the front of the tag. I think I want this part cut off, flush with the main base of the tag. All right, so you can see we have two. These are going to be our backs. These are our fronts with it, and you can have your excess sticking to the left or to the right. I've just folded up a little bit of the bottom. I'm going to cut this little corner out here and here on both sides. And use my art glitter glue because I want that nice and strong. I'm going to fold that up to encase the bottom, although I could have cut it off flush, sorry. Flesh. Going the way of all flesh. There we go. All right, now, this is where the design, the ease of design really comes in. Now I might as well tear this as well. Must be something about the construction of this paper that makes the tearing in that direction a little jaggedy. All right, so once again, I keep distracting us from the task at hand, but we have these two pieces. Those are the back again. I'm going to ink on this side. And I'm going to put some glue stick on that little flap that's sticking out. And now that backing paper becomes part of the front page design, or the front of the tag. We'll put some decorative things there. The same here. You can see how fast and easy this is to do. Just that folded book page as the base of the tag, and put some of that coffee dyed paper around it. There we go. And that is, you know, that double thickness there is certainly robust enough to make a nice tag that's going to be easy. It's going to hold up to, you know, you can be able to write on it with ease. It's going to take the activity of coming in and out of that pocket certainly easier too. I have all those little glue stick globs around and things are sticking. All right, now, these could be journal cards. We don't have to put any kind of pulls on the top, but I do think I'm going to, because I did want to work with this sari silk. How should we decorate these? Well, we're going to go back to we have Judy and her adventures there already as the background. And I said I was going to work with limited supplies, but I am going to bring in my corner rounder Oh, that glue stick is still a little wet in there. That didn't make a very good cut, but manually, it just goes into a pocket a little more easily when those edges are rounded. Let's see if I have better luck. What I should do, and I usually do this, but if I turn it upside down, and I can visually see if it's seated in there. Yeah, there, that one was a little more successful. And we've tested the size of this, so we know this is going to fit in our little pockets with ease. There we go. Now let's go back to our colorful pieces and our little pieces of spattered packing paper. And what do we have that might go in there? That might be nice just like that. And that might be nice just like that. Should we do that? I think that might be okay. One thing I might do, because I have this blank margin showing here, is I might come back with my stencil and do just a little bit of stenciling along that blank margin. I think that might be rather pleasant. Give a little interest there. And look how nice and finished those are on the back. And I love having that paper wrapped around to the front. Okay, let's ink up our little scrappity pieces, and I'll get these side by side. Look what a mess my hands are after doing all of this inking. That's how you can tell a crafter has been working hard, I say. That's a badge of honor. There we go. I could tear these edges too, but I kind of like the balance of having the kind of something kind of orderly and rectangular in the middle. All right, back to the gluing. Using my old current catalog as a glue surface. I just like the narrow structure of the current catalogs. And I actually just placed another current order the other day, so I'm sure they'll continue to send me catalogs for some time. I think I've mentioned before the nonprofit I'm associated with has we send birthday cards to our members, more than 200 members now, and so we go through a fair amount of birthday cards, and current is a very good source for us. I used to make all the cards that went out myself, but getting a little too numerous for me to keep up with handmade cards. And the thing that matters is that people get a card in the mail and get a lovely note from our member that does that mailing. There we go. And anyway, I enjoy the current catalog, and they offer very affordable stationery. And but man, it is really nice to have their catalogs as glue surfaces too. Not what they intend when they send it out, but all right, now let's punch our holes and get our little sari silk ready to insert. All right, I'm marking, just getting that lined up. There's where I want to punch. Always seems to work out better for me if I mark the punch hole. Some people are good at eyeballing, but you know, when I get it, my piece underneath my hole punch, I sometimes lose perspective. So there we go. And I don't want this to be too long. I don't buy a whole lot of sari silk. But when I do, I get it on Etsy. There's a lot of providers on Etsy. I like the idea of giving an extended life to that special fabric. From everything I've been able to tell, with the research I've done, there is ethical sourcing of the sari silk. So I'm hoping my research was accurate. My research, involved just asking a lot of people. But if it reduces some of the fibrous waste in the world, then that is good. Okay. Shall I cut off corners? Yes. I actually have a punch to do those. Here's this one, because I don't want to have a really big angle. There we go. I could just eyeball this. But some things I eyeball and some things I don't. All right, we're almost done, friends. I just have to make a couple of little cards to go in those inside pockets. Here is our little pocket, folded pocket. And there that goes. Oh, this looks so great. Little glimpses of Judy Bolton all the way through. Now, we want to put something in here, and we have these decorative pieces. So should we just go back to Judy? Let's just, let's just do that. And I have this scrap of the, of that lesson plan piece. I'll get a fresh Judy piece here. Maybe I was hoping I could get 2 cards out of one piece, and maybe I might have been able to do that. No, I'm not going to go through a whole bunch and ruin more whole pages. Not ruin. Experimentation is not ruining, but there we go. So that can be one, and even though I will trim that down. Are these going to be about the same? They are. Well, it looks like Judy was not willing to fold where I wanted her to fold there. I don't blame her. Girlfriend's earned the right to do what she wants to do since 1934. There we go, just a little bit of glue. Here. And then we'll back these. And there's some little holes for ring binders there, but I'm not worried about that. Let's see, is there anything I wanted to really... I think I'll have this down against the backing. Looks like Judy's being caught in a sticky situation on that page. And yeah, there we go. There we go. And I'm going to trim these off with my knife. I don't think I mentioned cutting tools in when I was talking about the limited number of supplies. I see supplies and tools as being two different things, to be perfectly honest. But boy, I would have a hard time getting through a craft project without my good old sturdy knife. And you know, this isn't even a craft knife, to be honest. I think you can just get these at the hardware store and with all the other cutting tools. All right, let me see if these are too long to fit in here. And I'm quite sure they will be. Yeah, because I don't want them covering up those smaller pieces. So I think we're going to come down to about here. They're going to be quite small. And there we go. Actually, I might be able to cut all 4 of them together. Very small cards, but nice little bit of journaling spots on the back. Shall I round these corners? Yeah, let's do that. Have them look a little finished off. We're almost done. This really is a really fast project. And you know, when you think about, you know, the fact that, you know, we have 4 on the, you know, the main piece itself, we have 4 surfaces. So that's like four things that we had to decorate, and 4 tags. That's 8 things. That's a lot to do in just a little bit. So I think limiting our supplies and keeping the look really cohesive certainly makes it a lot easier. And I like just that little bit of ripped edge, because when we write little notes to ourselves, we often have just that little ripped edge, don't we? Back to our colorful pieces. Do I want to put... Yep, I think I want to be consistent and have my brown packing paper on both of these little guys as well. So let's go ahead and do that. We're not so rushed that we feel like we can't do that. Just one little piece of this packing paper sticking out the side, and then we'll have one of these Louisa pieces. Actually, I might go edge to edge with that. Why don't I do that? I'll cut it off after it's glued in place. There we go. I'm gonna have to grab another sip of coffee here. That, and here's that. Anyway, so we're talking about, you know, making 8 things, and you know, if we had if we used our entire craft room as inspiration, we might just have a real hard time making up our minds, mightn't we? This just makes it really easy. It really does. You know, you're going back to your small supplies. It's like if you're making dinner and you haven't been to the store in a while, and you open the fridge and you use what you've got. Am I even on camera here? There we go. Have that a little off center. This is going to be a little soggy here, but that's okay. Every once in a while I have to take an alcohol wipe and clean off my scissors because they do get sticky. Here's that one. Oh, isn't that sweet? And where's the other one? Here it is. There we go. Yeah, so just using what we have, it really kind of, it just helps us think more about the possibilities of what we do have, rather than thinking, oh, I can go, you know, look for more stuff. I have that little bin of those little bejeweled butterflies, or I have this, you know, this kind of special twine over here, and where did I put that one, you know, sheet of music paper or something like that. Restrict our choices. Just have fun using what's on hand. Oh, we're ready to put this whole little thing together. Judy! She's always with us. Oh, and so many different ways that we can use this. Oh, I really had fun doing this, guys. I hope you had fun watching too. Choose a few items, find a book that you can just, you know, use, especially if it's something, you know, that's just kind of fun. It's for the strawberry one, I used a cookbook because I wanted to get in, you know, some fruit-based desserts in my background. But I just happen to have Judy here. Let's bring her in here to say goodbye. She deserves that kind of showcase. And anyway, I hope you had fun with this. I really enjoyed this, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.